Welcome back to Lovebug Tarot, and welcome in if you are new here, and welcome just my fellow tarot goblins. So today we are doing the week ahead with the grid, the Divination Grid, using the Russian Divination deck. And yeah, we're going to get an affirmation card. We have our Cozy Witch tarot deck, and then we also have our both Nordic and Celtic runes that we'll be using. I'll put those to the side. As always, there are timestamps in the description for the shuffling, and then also when I'm laying out the grid, because it'll take up this whole area. And sometimes things come through when I'm laying out the grid, because I do put runes down to kind of mark where the pictures line up. And I'll explain a little bit more about how the grid works when we're doing the shuffling. But yeah, all of that, the timestamps will be in the description. All right, so anyways, I'm gonna give this a quick shuffle, and then let's try to put it to the side. The deck is not behaving today. I don't know what that says. We shall see. So we'll ask. Oof, it never fails. Like, I talk in normal life and I'm usually pretty good, but suddenly we start doing tarot and just become burpy. I can guess. Cards are being in a mood. Come on. There. Nope. I was like, almost. All right, we'll try that again. Okay. Already getting kind of a very, like, this week I might have to be very cautious and deliberate with stuff. All right, so, oh wait, should I be doing this first? We'll try to remember to do it. Last time I forgot. I read the affirmation like halfway through the read. I was like, oh, right. Okay. Anyways, so I'm sure some of you, I didn't even read it. I'm sure somebody could probably pause the screen and see it. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Russian divination deck, it is a square deck, and there are 50 images, and they're cut up into quarters, or they're cut into halves on each quarter, you'll see, on the card. And so as you lay them out, you match them up. And depending on both the picture, if it matches up, and its orientation, so which direction it's facing as you match up the cards, it kind of changes the meaning, the overall meaning. So we lay all the cards out, and even if you don't get anything in the middle, which I think is, God, I've been reading cards since 2012? A long time. We'll just, many moons, we'll say. So even if something doesn't line up, I think that's only happened once in all my years of reading, you still have the last card that you read. And the last card you read, all the pictures in their upright first positions. So I always use the book because I'm familiar with most of the general meanings for the pictures. But again, there are 4 different meanings depending on their orientation. So I still reference the book. I do. I don't care. I don't care if I've been reading this long. I still reference the book. And that's okay. I'm just saying okay. All right. Let's get our... Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay. You know what? I don't know. I'm feeling called. Let's go ahead and read our affirmation. Okay. It says, listen. It could go the way you're predicting, or it could go better than you ever could effing imagine. Ooh. Okay. Again, we were talking about the cards energy when I was shuffling was like this might be a week to be very cautious and deliberate with what you're doing. Okay, let's see how these line up. All right, let's see. I'm going to start in the corner here. All right. And again, as I lay them out, I try to match as I go. Some people will lay out the whole grid first and then kind of match stuff. I prefer to match as I go, but there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just whichever one is comfortable for you, whichever one makes sense. Go to the edge. Everything should be in frame. I'll try to make sure that's... Okay, yeah. All right, let's see. Anything in this first row? No. Oh, all right, we got the fire. Okay, let's see. We've got Thurizaz, the thorn, which is about like gateways opening. We got the Celtic rune of death, cycles, and rebirth, very much like the death card in the tarot, which is not about actual death, but something ending for something to begin. Okay. All right, interesting. We're already kind of getting different things coming through, but trying to wait until we actually start the read before doing that. Ooh, we got the fox. Come here. This table is sticky. Thanks, humidity. Oh, so good. All right. All right. We've got Malthes, which is a rune of delay and patience. Again, we were talking about this very like deliberate, cautious energy with the fox, and I'm pretty sure that overall meaning is about deceit or things not necessarily seeing things, not seeing everything. Something may be hidden. We shall see. Ooh, we got bread. Bread is an excellent sign. Very much like financial wealth means kind of bread vibes. All right. Ooh, we got word. We got the blank rune. There's some endless possibilities right there. And the Celtic rune for persuasion and communication. Very interesting. Okay. Nope. And always at the end... Oh, no. That's over there. Can't do them diagonal, unfortunately. At the end, I try to take some time, and I'll cut it out, but stare deeply and see if I missed any pictures. And sometimes I miss them, and in the middle of the read, I suddenly spot them for whatever reason. That one's catty corner, too. But that's sometimes just how it be. That's sometimes just how it do. Let's see. Nope. That one's over there. Close, but no cigar. That one's up there. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, I've seen that one, and then it's like all the way at the top. We shall see. The last one we did with the week ahead was substantial. There was a lot of messages coming out in that one. Whew. That was a long one. That was a long read. But things just want to come out when they come out. Oh, got the castle. Got the Celtic rune for peace and support. Oh, do we have enough room down here? I guess my stone's shifted. I have little markers here to try to make sure I'm staying in the screen. Do we? Yep, I think so. Okay, we'll just shimmy that under. Ooh, got the crawfish. I have to move my mic a little bit. There we go. crawfish. Isa. Okay. It's a rune of ice and slowing down. There's definitely some delays happening. Malthes is the rune of delay. The rune of ice. Something. This could get interesting. Ooh, we've got angels. Oh, okay. So in this case, we have the horseshoe and the angel. So, because otherwise you can't, there's no way to do it at once. But because this would be the orientation for the horseshoe, I'm going to put a rune here and leave it on the angel. And that just reminds me that I have 2 pictures here that are lining up. Another reason for me to use the runes. Dagus. The dawn. Okay. And we've got the Celtic rune for wheel and movement with the horseshoe. And the horseshoe is pretty lucky. We do have a clover in this deck. But interesting. Interesting. You're going to have an interesting read. Alright, we have a snakeu. Nope. We do have the branches. Anybody else besides... Again, sometimes you get 2. Nope, we got the Celtic rune for transformation and power. Whoop. You know what? Alright, we'll just leave it like that. Okay, and last one is here. Is everybody on? Yes. Ooh, and we have the star. Again, I can't move the star because we have the branches already lined up. But if I was to turn it this way, the picture would line up. So its orientation is, that's the picture. It's the 4th orientation. So we'll grab Yira for the rune, for the star. So what I'll do, because this picture is also in the last card, I'll read the energy of the 4th position into the 1st. Because remember, we always read the last card, all the images in their 1st position. So this will be kind of a something will be changing in the star. And then I'll read the rest of these with... Woo! Fehu! That is an excellent rune. That is the rune of prosperity, your physical needs being met. So there's definitely some... It can be wealth and money. It's, again, stuff in your physical realm. Okay, so we've got a lot happening. And again, it could go the way you're predicting, or it could go better than you ever effing imagine. All right. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to remember this time. And stare deeply into the cards. See if any other images match up for me, and I'll be right back. All right. So we're back. I didn't see anything. That doesn't mean something doesn't jump out at me in the middle of the read. It's happened before. It's like I see the picture if I'm meant to see the picture, when I'm meant to see the picture. That's just how it do. All right, so we are going to start at the top. Number 44 with fire. We have Thorisaz, and what was this? The Celtic rune. Yes, death cycles and rebirth. 44. Nope, too far. Keep going. Okay. So this book also, this deck, I should say, at least the one I have, was published in like the early 90s. Might have been 1990. So sometimes the language is a little flowery in here, and I'll do my best to translate. All right, so the fire, its general meaning is about passion. Again, passions can go a lot of different ways. So in its 2nd position, the phrase here is, beware of fire, you'll burn your wings. Okay. I'm going to go really quick to the 2nd paragraph, because, let's see. They used the Greek myth of Icarus, and it was the father and son were trapped. The father built both of them a set of wings and said, don't fly too close to the sun. And when they escaped, the son was enjoying flying so much, again, his passions got the best of him, and he went too close to the sun, and it melted the wax that had been used to secure like the feathers or part of the wings, and they fell apart, and he fell to his death. And then only the father made the escape. So there's this hubris in that story. With death and rebirth, and I'm going to get some tarot cards on this too. Something you're very passionate about. And we have Thurisaz, which is, it's in the shape of this like thorn. I always see it as like a little thorn. But it's also a gateway. And sometimes it's lessons to be learned, like cycles, rebirth. There's our deck. There's our deck. Okay. Can we get some clarification on this? I kind of have a thought with it, but... Oh, okay. Four of Pentacles. Treat yourself to something shiny every now and again. Ooh. There's a little phrase on the bottom of all of these. It's very tiny. It's hard to see. And again, burping. Okay, can we not? I'm kind of in the middle of something. Ugh, body, really. Good Lord, we have to have this talk all the time. All right, let's see. A new cycle is starting. Something you're very passionate about. But as this opportunity comes in, or this cycle starts to change, things start to shift, there's a bit of a warning here as well. Treat yourself to something shiny every now and again. Don't overdo it, though. Treating yourself every now and again is awesome. In fact, I think very highly of, like, treating yourself to a cup of coffee, or, like, you know, you see something like, ooh, I've always wanted to try that, you know, eyeshadow, or, you know, something lotion, or, you know, hair product or something, or, you know, just something that lets you indulge, a little gadget that makes you happy. Maybe a new phone, something like that. Like, it's good to treat yourself to something shiny. A new deck, a new card deck, you know, whatever that's like, you know, just kind of tickles your fancy. But be careful not to overdo it. Sometimes we can get so passionate about, maybe let's take self-care as an example. Again, we're using this as an example. Please use your best judgment. But as an example, like, self-care can be great, taking yourself out for something every now and again. And there's a balance, though, because you can easily move into, oh, I need a self-care. I need to buy a new car. Again, this is an example. You know, let's say you come into, you know, something, changes. How many are those? Good Lord. All right, 4. We'll take it. You know, the example of, like, you get a new job, and the new job is like, ooh, my salary is going to go, like, way up. That is awesome. Okay, I'm going to go and put a down payment on a car, and I'm going to get a new house, and I'm going to go on a vacation. And again, you can go 0 to 150. You bypass 60 and go straight through. So there's this sense of something changing. Cycles are changing. You could be in a kind of a transitionary period right now. But definitely, you know, don't let yourself burn out. You know, maybe it could even be with work. It could be a message of, maybe you are getting a new position. Again, going back to that, you know, salary raise example of your salaries, and it's like, oh, I have to work 3 times as hard. Maybe not. Maybe you still need to make sure you balance things out and take care of yourself and give yourself those moments. Okay, so Knight of Wands, the phrase is, sometimes you have to be willing to bend the rules a little. Yeah, maybe there's, you know, with a new job, again, going back to the example of a job, there could be something where it's like, you know what? Maybe that's what people expect me to do, is work 3 times as hard and suddenly put in an 80-hour work week. No, I'm going to do my 40. I'm going to do my 40 and then dip out. Because we also have the 4 of Wands. And the phrase here is, why aren't you resting? And this person is taking time out. They have self-care. They're snuggling with their little animal companion. They have a book. They have some tea. They're sitting out on a balcony, just enjoying the view and nature, just taking a moment to be cozy, to relax, to breathe. The Tower. We were talking about death cycles and rebirth. The phrase here is, get ready. Things are about to get shaken up. So there could be, again, as things shift, gateways open, there could be this transitional period where it's like you need to make sure you take care of yourself. As chaotic as things may get, make sure to take care of yourself. The Page of Wands. The phrase here is, just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean it'll be effortless. And again, we were talking about passions. So it could swing a couple different ways for different people. Maybe it's an example of you get a job, or let's say you're a musician and your song goes viral. You put a song out on YouTube or TikTok or somewhere in social media, and it goes viral overnight. And you have a thought of like, oh, well, I never have to work again. That's it. I've made it. I'm done. It's like, no, you may need to catch that momentum and keep moving forward. There could be even harder work ahead of you. But again, where is this balance? Where is this balance coming in of hard work versus burnout, of self-care versus overindulgence? I'm getting a sense that there's, as these cycles, like something you're very passionate about is changing in some capacity for you. As that changes, there may be a bit of a painful lesson of like, maybe this wasn't as you had expected it to be. There could be a little bit, you may need to take some time and take a breath, take a step back and be like, okay, let's look at the whole picture here. Let's figure out what's really going on and how we're going to tackle this. You know, how this is going to work for us, because clearly we can't stop the lightning from striking. But if it's something where it's like the lightning struck and you have this momentum, you know, use it, move forward. You have the Page of Wands, but make sure to take care of yourself. You don't have to overindulge, you know, and it could be that that's something very new. The act of resting and not being productive, and like resting in a non-productive way to rest, could be something very new and difficult for some of us. You know, treating yourself could be difficult if you come from a background of lack or a mentality of lack, and making those shifts from lack to be like, oh my God, I suddenly can afford all of this stuff. Like, don't go ham, you know, there is that sense. So exciting, but also it's going to need some attention. Again, we were talking about that very careful, deliberate attention. All right, Fox. Fox is 14. Ooh, 44 and 14. Let's go. Where am I? Nope, way at the beginning. Too far. Fox. So yeah, the overall image for Fox is deceit. And we have Nauthies. And this is the rune of delay. Patience. Yeah, it's delay, patience. And man, we were talking about openings and kind of like painful lessons, or, you know, pinch, something like a little pinch where it's like, you got to figure this out. Nauthies kind of has that same energy where it's like patience, and it could, there's a trial, there's something, a challenge. I don't want to say a trial because that sounds like a test, and I was like, I don't want to say a test. I'm not a fan of like, the universe is testing you. It's like, no, sometimes challenges happen. All right, so it's in its third position. Yeah. Okay, so the phrase here in the third position is deceit by, it isn't wise to trust a new friendship. Interesting. I'm going to get more cards for that. We were kind of using the example of earlier of like a salary increase. Sometimes when people hit success, or your song, let's say, going viral overnight, like, again, those examples, people can come out of the woodwork and suddenly be your best friend, even if they were like your cousin's former roommate twice removed, or, you know, something obscure, and they're just like, oh my god, don't you remember me? And it's like, no. No, I don't. You know, and it's, yeah, there's, so it's interesting with delay and patience, responsive. Yeah, there could be something. Could we get more please, could we get more clarification on that? The Ace of Swords. It says, look at you, you're bursting with sparkly new ideas. As you're bursting with sparkly new ideas, be careful about who you tell them to. Be very cautious, especially if this is a relationship with someone who's it's fairly a new relationship. Again, whatever context that is, whether it's a friendship or romantic partnership, or even a coworker in that capacity. Like, be careful who you speak to. 5 of Pentacles. It says, nothing is ever as hopeless as it seems. But I do see this person kind of isolated. So don't, I'm getting a couple messages from this. It's like, don't take this to the extreme and like never to speak to anyone again. That's not what it's saying. You know, there's a house here in the background. You know, there is shelter. There's a safe haven. Even the little sign up here says safe haven. You may feel very isolated. Trust a well-worn path. There's a very well-worn path here that this person could follow to safety. So relationships that are kind of tried and true, I get the sense of like relationships that have been with you in the worst of times and stuck with you and supported you. Like, those are definitely your support systems. But something new, maybe not. The 7 of Swords. And the phrase here is, are your actions really as selfless as you think? So someone coming in, and maybe they appear to have selfless reasons to help you, or selfless reasons to open a relationship with you. But look at it very carefully. Examine new relationships very carefully at this point in time. I'm just getting a sense of caution. You know, the phrase like there's a fox in the hen house. You know, I don't know. For some reason that phrase came through. Maybe it rings a bell for someone, or resonates for someone. Yeah, I'm just getting the sense of caution here. Careful who you tell. Perhaps this is a success that it's like you don't necessarily have to tell people. It's not readily visible. Maybe you're making plans for the future because of this opportunity, the success, something changing. So you're shifting plans, you're making plans. Be careful with who you talk to about that. Be careful. Especially like new energies or new people that have come into your world. Okay. Number 50, bread, which is also the last picture. Ooh, opened right to it. Sweet. So bread, this picture, the general meaning is happiness. It is in its second position. The phrase here is profit and happiness in the house, success in business affairs. Freaking awesome. All right. Ooh, I know. I love bread. I miss bread. I can't have gluten, so I miss bread. I miss bread a lot. But in this case, bread is talking about happiness. Like, I just think of a freshly baked loaf of bread, that smell, like the crust is nice and a little crispy, it's steamy and hot inside. Like, just happiness. But definitely happiness, and again, it was happiness not necessarily in different ways. Happiness in your home, happiness in business affairs. What does happiness look like for you? Because we have word here, the blank rune, and it's the unexpected, and it's also like endless possibilities. Something we have. Let's say this: persuasion and communication. Okay, endless possibilities. We're definitely going to get some cards for that. There could be something. Again, I'm going back to this like cycles, rebirth, like an opportunity kind of coming in. Something changing that maybe brings an opportunity. There could be a communication that opens up, and there could be an offer that will directly affect your home life, whatever that situation is, or your business, the way you do business, or maybe a complete change in your career. And that communication feels like it could bring happiness. Like there's endless possibilities with this. It's very open-ended. So let's get, what can we know about, oh my God, cards are being kind of stubborn again. What can we know about that? Come on. All right. What can we know? Can we know a little bit more about this, please? Another ace. There's a lot of new things coming in. Aces are big swells of energy, but they don't necessarily have a direction. They're just swells of energy. So it's like, where do you direct it? And we have the Ace of Swords, which is a very mental. Again, we were talking about like, this one talks about like ideas, communications. Something in this communication could also directly link with this idea you have. So the Ace of Wands. Wands is fire. The little candle here. And it's about like your spiritual glow. What ignites your soul. The phrase here is, don't you see how your passion makes you glow? Your passion. Something, again, a lot of passions coming up. Something you're very passionate about. And in a way, because there's this upswell of energy, you have to figure out where to direct it. Because the possibilities, again, with the blank rune, are, it's kind of saying like, the ball's in your court. Seven of Pentacles. Nurture what you have and see how it grows. See how it grows and grows. So there's some big growth coming in here. Something you've planted the seeds for. This communication that's coming in. This bread that is perhaps baking, that is about to come out of the oven, metaphorically speaking. This is something you've been working on. You've, again, taking the bread metaphor, you've had to go get the flour, and you've had to knead the bread and put all the ingredients in, and you've had to proof it and bring it out, and then watch too much Great British Bake Off. I love bread week. And it has to sometimes go in for a second proof, and maybe it has a design, or there's been a process in this. It's not just you went to the store and got a loaf of bread. This is like a homemade loaf. Maybe it's a sourdough, and you actually like made a sourdough starter, which takes a good week to get going anyways. So it's something that you've planned out. You've kind of sown those seeds. It's been cooking. You've been cooking. And it's about to maybe come off the stove. Maybe that timer's about to go off, and there's like, done. What have you planted that is coming to fruition? Okay. Also tasty bread. All right, 19, the Castle. So this is interesting that we have the split here. Kind of have a bunch of these at the top and a bunch at the bottom. There could be something happening at the beginning of the week. This could be this change, this communication coming in. So let's see maybe what's happening. And always take timing with a grain of salt. Always. But we'll see if maybe like there's a split. Something happening at the beginning of the week and then something happening at the end of the week. So let's see. All right, so 19. The Castle. Castle, I believe, is security. Symbol. Yep, symbol for security. In its third position. Ooh. Third position, it says a long life. I freaking love it. And you have the Celtic rune for peace and support. That's pretty straightforward. I don't know what else to... We're going to get some cards, but I'm like, that's pretty straightforward. I get the sense that it is also referring to what's happening up here And again, you had a lot of aces up here, a lot of ideas and a lot of passion, things that are happening. And as you set this up, as this changes, it's something long term. It's something that is going to affect your long term, and also your security. A castle isn't built in a day. It takes time. Again, something you've been cooking. And in a way, what you've been cooking is going to directly relate to or affect your long-term goals too, your long-term security, what that security looks like. With peace and support, I mean, that's awesome. It's like long life in a castle, peace and supported. Goals. Freaking goals right there. Wow. All right, anything else we can know about our castle? Let's see. Whoop. A couple maybe coming out. The King of Swords. The phrase here is, we can all learn important things from one another. Support. Learning things from one another. This is something I feel like you might be doing with someone else. Or with a community. Like, there is a support here. And maybe some of you are writers. Again, we had this communication. Swords is about communication. We had the Ace of Swords, the ideas. So this metaphor, you could look at it as like this person who's a writer. And maybe something comes up with a publishing company. They've been, again, we're going to use the metaphor of an author. This person has put out, they've been working on a book and they've sent it off to a publisher. Obviously, this is something they didn't write overnight. They've been working on it. And they get, maybe they get a chunk of money from the publisher's like, yes, absolutely, we're doing the book deal. We're going to give you a chunk of money up front. I've never published a book. I don't know how it works. I am just talking as I go. So that could be, how this relates, and being careful about who they talk to, even on social media, just kind of keeping things on the down low until something is very solidly established. You have, contracts in place, and you've taken the time or the ability to like make sure that, because the internet nowadays, be careful on the internet, taking the time to protect themselves and their information, their family, however that works out. And then things kind of line up where they're like, okay, yeah, no, this is happening. This is like, things kind of sit in where it's like, this is real. And showing the community, like the people who perhaps they've been talking about this book and its development for, they have their TikTok or something, and they tell like, oh my God, I got a book deal, and kind of celebrating and communicating with their community. And from that, they could also, maybe there's a group of authors. Maybe I don't know, do authors move in flocks? Do they all kind of, do you congregate? I don't know. I'm more from the art side of things, and artists tend to like congregate together. I think of like content creators or streamers, even, like there tends to be a community, that support each other. At least I was part of the art Twitch community for a while. Very supportive, very open and kind to each other. So the creators also kind of looked out for each other too. Oh, okay. So anyways, I feel like I went on a tangent there. What else do we have? Ooh, we have 6, the Lovers. It says, will you or won't you? The choice is yours. The Lovers ultimately is about choice. So there could be a sense of like telling other people, maybe making a community, but what boundaries do you have with that community? Will you, won't you? How will you communicate with that community? The Empress. It says there's beauty to be found in every experience. So something else I'm getting with peace and support here. The Lovers, you have the Empress, which is also about fertility as well. And the Lovers is, for some of you, this could be about having a partner Yeah, learning things from one another, having a partner in this for the long term. The two of you are very supportive of each other. Or if there's more than two of you, but whoever your people are is very supportive. And kind of that's maybe when you tell your people, your group of people, however that looks. And it doesn't have to be romantic. Maybe it's a group of very close friends. And again, we were talking about like be careful who you speak to or tell about this from the get-go, especially new people. The castle is something that, again, we were talking about like not being built overnight. This is an established relationship or relationships. These are people who we were talking about who have supported you through the good, through the bad. You know, they've been with you through the long nights, the long late nights, the worry, perhaps the anxiety, they've been with you. Whoever they are, however that looks like for you. Yeah. So that could be something as well. You're establishing that long-term support. Could be a community, could be a group of people, could be a partner. And not necessarily, sure. What was I saying? Good Lord. Not necessarily also in an intimate sense. It could be also business partnership. This could be something long-term. Again, we were talking about like a contract, where it's like that contract is very fruitful. You still have to make the choice how those boundaries are set up. You know, whether it's business, an intimate partnership, a group of close, intimate friends, like your family, your people, whatever this community support system is, it's the one that's going to bring you peace. And we do have 5 of Cups, and it says, spilled tea isn't the end of the world. For some reason, I'm getting this sense that maybe whoever this is, or the people, could be more than one, or the situation that was up here with the fox, that was like delays, slow down, caution. Maybe they expected to come with you. Maybe they expected that, get on the success wagon kind of deal. They're like, what do you mean I'm not part of your inner circle or your group of people? And it's like, there could be some hurt feelings there, but it's the 5 of Cups compared to the Empress and the Lovers. These people will get over it. God, that sounds harsh. But I get this, I don't know, I just get the sense it's like, some people be like, oh, well, why didn't I know about it ahead of time? It's like, well, you didn't because, I just know. Honestly, you don't owe them an explanation. You honestly don't. And if they demand one, I think that tells you more about, like, how they view you and your relationship. All right. Anyways. All right. 43. We have the crawfish. Crawdad. Crawdaddy. Oh, we turned right to it. Sweet. Okay. So it's the general symbol for learning to cope with fate, which sounds a lot. Okay, so let me try to... The general picture, crayfish picture represents fate. Being in the right place and doing the right thing. As a they say crayfish. I don't want to call them crawdads. Whatever. As a crayfish is sandwiched between being a predator and a victim, so we find ourselves caught up in situations where we want to do one thing, but fate doesn't open up the opportunity. Okay. So, it is also in the 3rd position. And it says here, delay. We were talking about delays, slowing down. We all have Isa as well, which is about the rune of slowing down. Delay is something designed by fate. So there is something about timing here. So let's get... Let's get some cards. get some more information about... Ooh. Cards are jumpy. Ooh, okay, it says the Magician. You have everything you need to do anything you want, which pretty much goes with our affirmation. It could go the way you're predicting, or it could go better than you ever effing imagine. Okay. Eight of Pentacles. So sorry, but fairies aren't going to come and do all the work for you. Eight of Pentacles is also about mastery. It's about hard work. Something you've been nurturing. There could have been, maybe this is something you've been trying to get off the ground for a while. Again, there's been delays, but there was something maybe about divine timing here. The crawfish represents fate, and it's been slow, maybe glacial for some of you, or feels glacial. And the King of Pentacles, it says true success isn't just about money, it's about happiness too. Okay. Yeah. Things are moving and shifting where before it's felt like, I'm going to use glacial because we have Isa, the rune of ice, slowness, slowing down, almost stagnant in its energy. And now things are finally moving forward, again, through hard work, through your work and your mastery. And perhaps there were some lessons here as well, not just about like, who are your people, who is, your group of people, your person even, the versus like the fair weather friends where it's like they're super good friends when things are going well for you because that means things go well for them, versus like the people who have been with you even when things have been bad and still supported you through it. Maybe there was also a lesson about what happiness means to you. What does success mean to you? Not to other people, but what does it mean to you? If you were a writer, again, going back to the example of being an author, starting out is not easy. You have to build something from nothing, essentially. And, but it makes you happy. Maybe there's something in you that is just like, this is something I can't not do. It just calls to you. We had a lot of the fire, the passion, what you're passionate about, what lights you up. You have all the things at your disposal. You have the Magician, which is also the card of manifestation. It's a card of like, you have all the tools at your disposal. Again, it could go, you're like, oh man, I got the publishing job. And it's like, oh man, I got a publishing job and a movie deal and a book tour, and like you just suddenly, again, going with the the author, it's like suddenly you're J.R.R. Martin and you have a TV show about your, it's something, again, I'm using it as an example, but something that wasn't moving for a long time is moving now. The ice is breaking up. That's exciting. Very excited for you. Okay, so we did have, let's do the angel, and then we'll do the horseshoe next. So the angel is 37. There we go. So the angel is pretty straightforward. It's a guardian angel. It's a guardian angel is helping you. So there's kind of this, like, your guides, spirit, there's your ancestors, but there's help coming also from, incorporeal or non-physical sources as well. Very woo-woo. Okay, so in its third position, it says, love and tenderness will comfort you, which is a beautiful message to have. And we have Dagus as well. And Dagus is a rune of the dawn. It's growth, happiness, it's success. It's an amazing picture to get. And I just get the sense that, like, the phrase they're rooting for you is coming through. So I don't know if maybe you have an ancestor or like someone on the other side or a spirit guide you're very close to, or you just have an intimate connection with spirit, with source. Like, this is something, I don't know how to explain it, but you're celebrating, and I want to say they're celebrating too. they've been rooting for you. It's like, okay. I don't know, why did this jump out? Okay, Nine of Cups. Live in a constant state of gratitude. But the Nine of Cups is also about, wait, I'm thinking of the Nine of Pentacles. That came up in my brain. Okay, because I was like, independence. But the Nine of Cups is also, wait, is it? Oh, I'm doubting my brain. Hold on. It's coming. Yes. The Nine of Cups is also, hold on. I'm having a brain fart. All right, so the Nine of Cups is, I can't believe I just blanked on it, but it's a wish fulfillment card. This is something, and I get the sense that you've also prayed for it. If praying is something you do, or meditation, journaling, manifestation work, like whatever you've been doing to connect your faith or your spirituality with manifesting in the 3D world, that is something, those wishes, those dreams, they've been heard. They've been heard, and they've been helping whenever they can. When you do have to ask, you have to give permission, you know, there's the consent thing. Oof, I need to adjust myself in my chair. My leg is going to sleep. That's not good. I've been here for a minute. There's a lot. But yeah, I feel it's pretty straightforward. Anything else we should know? Man, that one jumped out. Three of Pentacles. Yeah, it says, what's the saying? Teamwork makes the spells work. So this is something that I feel has been a group effort. Whether it's like a co-collaboration with you and the divine in whatever capacity that looks like, with you and your ancestors, something very spiritual, which is where I think this divine timing has come out as well. All right, so 28. Whoop, all right. 28, the Horseshoe. And these past couple grid reads have been lengthy. All right, so the Horseshoe, its symbol is for success, and it is in the first position, which is good fortune awaits you. With wheel and movement, this is the Celtic rune. Wow, okay. I feel that's straightforward. I'm still gonna pull a card, but I'm like, there you go. Yeah, something, again, I feel like the beginning of the week might be a little rocky. There might be some challenges coming through. But you are very supported, both in the physical realm with your group of people, your people, your plants, your pets, the group that is surrounding you, both physically and spiritually. You are very supported. It says Nine of Swords. We all get a bit carried away with our worries sometimes. Okay. There could be some anxiety right now. Maybe you're looking forward, going, you're trying to predict how things are going, how things will go. Maybe it'll be this, maybe it'll be that. You know, do I need to do this? Did I do enough? Did I not? Did I do too much? Like, all these extra thoughts that can run around in your brain, your little brain goblins, if you will. You don't have to get carried away with those. You are incredibly supported. And also, if something did happen, or something does happen kind of at the beginning of the week with this energy, perhaps these people who are not necessarily trustworthy, or perhaps they could be decent people, but they don't have your best interest at heart. Don't let that weigh on your mind. That is a them problem. That is not a you problem. Toxic Witch. Okay, so in this deck, some of the major arcanas are different. 15 is actually, in the traditional deck, the Devil. Here it's Toxic Witches. Be cautious of those who take more than they give. Again, we were talking about these people. But also, You could have been worried because of outside influence in the capacity of people saying, it's like, oh, again, going back to the example of the writer, the author, it's like, oh, you want to write books? You know how hard that is? Do you know how, they just go in on it, and it's like, that's more of you projecting your insecurities than supporting someone's dream. And don't let what outside sources tell you influence, get you down, make you worry. Is this going to work out? How is this going to go? And also those limiting self-beliefs, because again, in a traditional deck, the Devil card is very much about like cycles and patterns within ourselves. So don't let those keep you up at night. Don't let those overwhelm you. Luck is on your side. Again, you are supported in so many different capacities, which is beautiful, which I love for you. All right, so we do have the branches here under the book. Number 11. Keep going, keep going. Branches. One more. Okay, so, car. Branches is the symbol for reconciliation or unpleasantness in family relations. I think of the branches as like a family tree, because it's very much like a bush. It's covered in snow too. It is in its first position, which it says making up after a quarrel. So there could have been, and it says here making up after a petty quarrel or tiff. So not a huge argument. This is not something that it's like an argument over the, foundational principles or morals of someone's character or something of that capacity. There's making up, maybe there was a disagreement how things should move forward, and that could be also where this worry has come from. Maybe someone in here who you did trust, you've trusted for a long time, maybe they said something that was more about their insecurities projecting, and they're maybe trying to keep you safe. They're like, oh, why would you do that? Isn't it safer over here? And you're like, no, but this is my dream. And like, there's something there. I'm getting again, as an example, something there that perhaps there was a minor, again, it's a 5 of Cups. It's spilled milk, spilled tea or coffee in this case, but it's something minor. This is not a big argument. This is something where it's like, you come back, you talk about it, and it's okay. It's not something incredibly fundamental, which I feel is an important distinction to make. 10 of Pentacles. It says, having it all looks different to everyone. What were we just saying? It's like, but this is my dream. This is what's going to make me happy. The 10 of Pentacles over here. It says, true happiness isn't just about money. It's about happiness too. So maybe there was a disagreement with you and someone in your circle about like, well, isn't that like an example? Maybe this author over here was an accountant, and maybe they were making really good money, or real estate, whatever. They were in an industry that was stable, making the money, but they just weren't passionate about it. And so they're trying this avenue, and they're like, I'm really passionate about it. There's an opportunity. This could go somewhere. And then, someone who's, again, maybe trying to look out for them, but just like, but is that the best idea? You have stability and blah, and it's, so there, I feel like it's more of that line, and then someone's like, you know what? And that's how you kind of know someone's with your people, like part of your circle, whether they come back and they're like, you know what? Yeah, this is your dream. Maybe I don't see it, but that's not for me. I'll support you no matter what. And that, again, example. The Knight of Pentacles. Slowly but surely you're going places. So this is something that I feel is going to build slow and steady. And maybe that's why this person didn't see it, because maybe there is a pay cut. Maybe there's going to be a little period of instability where you're not entirely sure where things are going. There's a bit of a risk, maybe. A bit of a leap of faith. And that's scary, both for you and maybe for this other person too, because they want to see you succeed. They want to see you be happy and healthy and secure and stable. But maybe you see the long vision, and maybe they don't necessarily see that yet. Because there's transformation and power. They're in for transformation and power. And perhaps you see that long term, even if they don't see it yet. But you see how this could grow. You see what is possible. You know, you kind of are starting to get be like, oh man, I thought it was going to be here. Oh shoot, it could be up here. Like, oh dang. And you're like, come with me. So just, yeah, I get the sense that it's not, again, nothing super serious. This is the moon. Taking time for a deep self-reflection is essential. This is someone who could have, maybe they need to take some time and figure stuff out and they come back. And the broom, which is the card in a traditional deck of death, cycles, and rebirth, like the rune we had up here. The broom, it says, tidy up your life so you can make space for something better. Something, it could go better than you ever effing imagine. Okay. What else? Four of Cups. It says, try not to be picky, okay? Okay. Maybe it's something you, again, even you can't really see. You just know that there's 4 cups of coffee here. You're not sure which one's gonna pan out. Is it gonna be one? Is it gonna be all of them? But clear away the... It's gonna, again, using the metaphor of coffee here. Clear away the coffee cups that you know you don't want. You know, clear out if the coffee cup is half full and it's cold and it's not even the drink you really wanted. Maybe toss it out. Make room for another cup of coffee that you do want. Maybe it's like the most delicious cup of coffee you've ever had. But, I mean, okay, so some people probably could hold 2 cups of coffee. In this case, we're saying one at a time. In this scenario, you can only have 1 cup of coffee at a time. So maybe you need to decide to finish that cup of coffee you had before you get another one, before you can get a refill. You know, that's the kind of metaphor that's coming through here. Okay, so our last one is the stars. And this is one that was turned here. So this we're going to read in 2 different directions, and then we'll read our last card. So the star, which is number 16. Not too far off. Nope, too far. Not too far off. Too far. Ooh, okay. So the star's general symbol is destiny influencing your life. We were talking about divine timing over here too. So in its 4th position at first, it says a series of unpleasant occurrences, but we have Yira. Yira is about cycles. Again, cycles up here, rebirth. Something is changing. So if we're going from the 4th position to the 1st position, then it's shifting into, it says, your guiding star will bring you to your goal. So it's like your dreams are going to be realized. From where perhaps, again, we had Isa over here with things not moving. It was glacial. There was delays. Like, the energy was not moving. Something wasn't moving. It was glacially slow. Suddenly with Yira, we have something turning, a cycle. Something is shifting. Very kind of like Wheel of Fortune energy in a way. But change is happening, movement is happening, and in a way I feel it was for divine timing. And it's interesting, we're moving now into Fehu with the last pictures. This is something that is changing very much your physical resources, your physical path even in life. The 6 of Swords, good Lord. Let's try this again. The Six of Swords. All aboard. It's time to write a new chapter. Yeah, something, you are moving into a new chapter. Six of Swords is about steady improvement into calmer waters, support and peace. And oh, that is a great message to get for our star. All right. I'm going to shift things around because I want to pull this card, this last card, into the middle so we can do our final card. I'll be right back. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Wow, this read, past two reads have been long, so I guess there's a lot coming in. There's a lot going on right now for you. Interesting that in the middle of the grid, we're right next to where it would have matched up. Just something. All right, maybe things are aligning for you. Stars are aligning. We kind of had that energy. Okay, so 26 is the book. That is Secret News. Secret News. So in its first position, it's a communication of secret. With Fehu, this could be secret news, like communications of a secret. I think of like an NDA, where it's like, information that's not readily available to the public. You get kind of like the insider information. Maybe we're, again, using the metaphor of the author, where it's like you get information and the publisher is like, you can't tell anyone about this, but we're thinking of pitching your story to Netflix or something for a show. Again, going back to that example metaphor. 10 of Wands. Why make things much more difficult than they need to be? It's interesting that because this is the Cozy Witch deck, there's a lot of, witchy references here. And the sign says, Blessed Samhain witches. I wonder if there's something happening around Halloween for you. Around Samhain, which is the 31st of October. I don't feel like this is a huge burden. Like, I feel like it's a lot to hold in. This person is carrying like 10 candles. I'm sure maybe they're going to a party or something. And maybe it's a surprise. I don't know. I get this sense where it's like the 10 of Wands sometimes can be like, again, a heavy burden, something you've been carrying a long time. And I feel more of this is secret news where you can't tell anyone, but it's good. It's like in a good way. Excuse me. Confirmation burp. That's just apparently what I'm going to do is burp. So you can't necessarily like talk about it. Again, kind of going back to the example of like an NDA where it's the project, maybe the project again you're working on is just like, oh, it's very hush hush. You can't tell anyone. Because there's secret news again with Fehu, and this Fehu is the rune of like your physical needs being met, or more so even it's prosperity. Again, with the star, we had things aligning, things changing, and maybe you can't talk about it yet. So you gotta be hush about it. And it's hard. You're like, I want to tell everybody, but you can't because maybe that's part of your contract. Again, there's like, or maybe it's not even something legal where it's like an NDA, you have to sign something. It could be just, you know what, for my best interest, maybe I just don't tell anyone at the moment. I'm going to wait, kind of see how things pan out, or maybe there's something else you're getting your ducks in a row kind of thing. We were talking earlier in the read about, in the sense where it's like someone reaches, let's say they go viral, and from that they get like a deal, or something happens where their physical means, Vehu here, like their prosperity is changing for the better. It's skyrocketing. Something is amazing is happening. And they also, maybe that person senses like, maybe I need to make sure that like my online presence is protected, my family's protected, like those kinds of things. So I'm not going to say anything yet until I have all of that in place. Because again, we had the fox up here with, there's the caution again with other people, there. So again, I'm getting a couple different things coming in there, and everybody's situation is going to be different. But I get the sense where it's the secret news is not negative. In fact, I feel it's really good. It's just something you have to keep kind of hush-hush for a bit. And it's hard. And it's a lot because you want to talk about it. But you can't. All right, 22 for the road. All right, so the road is about your path in life. And I'm going to take this where these two would have lined up right here. So in the fourth position where it would have been, should it have lined up, means difficulties on the road. But now we're reading this in the first position, it's happy path or road. So we were talking about like difficulties. Again, things have been moving slowly with Isa, with the crawfish. Things are shifting. We had a lot of symbols, whether it was in the runes or the cards, about rebirth, cycles, things shifting, things changing. Your path is changing for the better with Fehu. It is changing for the better. And I feel it's very much you're in the physical realm too. Temperance. Yeah, temperance, the phrase here is let go of self-imposed limitations. Again, going back to our affirmation, it could go the way you're predicting, or it could go better than you could ever effing imagine. Let go of that negative self-talk. You know, the worries, the what ifs, those mindsets that are trying to protect you. Maybe they protected you in the past, but you don't need them anymore because you're moving into something incredible, something so much better. All right, 49 is the dagger. Okay, so the dagger, its general meaning is physical assault or hidden assault. Why did I say physical? We're going to keep that Freudian slip in mind. However, in the first position, it says, you will be protected in time. And because I also have Fehu here, which deals with like physical needs and prosperity. Ooh, okay. 8 of Wands. It says, light a fire under your cauldron and go, 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 go. 8 of Wands is about speed. Doing things too fast, and that could be where this slowness, this caution of staying quiet, of moving with... We were talking in the very beginning of the read with the cards energy, just shuffling was very much being cautious, being deliberate with what you do. And I was just talking about like, someone taking the time before they make public secret news. Kind of like winning the lottery. It's like, it's actually advisable not to tell anyone because of people come out with not the best intentions towards you. And it could be in your physical state. It could be your whatever state that is. You know, they could be going after your money, your resources. They could be going after you. There's something there where it's like, with the speed things are going, be cautious about who you let into your circle. And this could be something as like, you need to address now rather than later. Address it now. Whether that's getting a VPN or hiring a company or a service to like monitor your data or information online. There's services that do that, and switching to an encrypted email service or something, like doing things that would protect you, your location, your information from people or entities that might not have your best interest in mind. So there's definitely a sense of like, best do it now while things are secret, while things are kind of being hush-hush, because that is going to definitely lead to a smoother road ahead. All right, we're going to grab a little extra one for the stars. Stars. The Emperor. Okay, wow. You want stable destiny, happiness. You've got some amazing things happening. It says, Being the authority of your own life comes with a lot of responsibility. What we were just talking about. Taking the time to, like, get all your ducks in a row, cross your T's, dot your I's. This is a week to be cautious, to be careful with who you relay your ideas, your thoughts, your passions to. Something comes up and a big change is happening, like being very, very selective about who you tell. Or perhaps even keeping most of it under wraps. Yeah. There could be a select few people you tell. And that could also help ease the burden of this worry, this limiting self-talk as well. But as things change, and I get the sense that there's some big change happening here. As things are changing, the Emperor is also about stability. We had the castle here. Security, stability, long-term things are kind of being put into motion right now that deal very much with your physical reality. But there's also a sense of responsibility from that as well. For yourself and maybe even the people around you, making sure that, as much as you can, they're protected. All right, so the bottom of the deck, we have the Knight of Cups. And it says, romanticize the present moment every chance you get. So as much as things are changing, don't forget to take a breath and be in the moment. This is an incredible change. This is a turning point. For some of you, this could be a huge point, like a point where you look back later in life and you're like, okay, this is where everything changed. This is where things kicked off. That very much could be the energy that's happening here. So take a moment and make sure to enjoy the moment. To sit in that energy and like bask in it, I guess, is what's coming through. As challenging as some of these energies can be, don't forget that you are the one who got yourself here. You did a lot of hard work. And the opportunities, the possibilities are open to you. As things change, like, yeah, I feel like you are just writing your story now. Okay, I just realized it's like with the author here, we were using that metaphor a lot, but in a way, yeah, it connects. Everything connects, I guess. It does. You're writing your story now. No one else. You are. All right. I'm going to end this here. We've been going on for, oh my goodness, over an hour. Wow. There's a lot happening here. If something here, if there was a message in here that resonated with you, please, you can just leave a little coffee cup in the, oh my God, I can't even think anymore. I was going to say the description, that's not it. It's the chat, the comments, there we go. Oh God, you can tell I used to be a streamer. Good Lord. Leave it in the chat. That too. And please like and subscribe, if you vibe with any of this, or you just vibe with the energies of the channel. Again, we're trying to kind of grow a little community here. So liking and subscribing is super helpful. We also have a membership over with Buy Me a Coffee, where we post 3 times a week, and we have card reviews. Again, not sponsored. I just go over different decks that I enjoy. And we do little mini reads. And yeah, if you're membership there, you can always request maybe a topic or something you want to see, and we'll work with that. I'm going to leave this here. I'm sending you so much love, huge hugs. This is a lot. This is a big transformation, but you can do it. I believe wholeheartedly in you. So take care of yourself. Definitely take care of yourself this week. Okay? Take care of yourself. Stay safe. And I love you. I'll see you next time, okay? Bye-bye.